Hi, I'm Jesper, and today I'm taking you through how I won a tournament the very first week Emperor's Children became tournament legal. For you who don't know me, I finished 4th at Worlds in Atlanta, as well as 4th at WTC 23 and 24. Please follow my attempts to break into the podium at the World stage. Me and Joel started the weekend early with some beers in sunny Örebro. After a nice dinner, we headed back to our very hot hotel room. Unfortunately, we both forgot that windows can be opened, which led to an insufferable night in a sauna. ÖK-spelen is quickly becoming one of the most competitive tournaments in Sweden, with multiple Swedish, Norwegian and WTC players and sharp lists. So when the new Emperor's Children rules dropped, I had to take the opportunity. EC, and especially the Coterie detachment, has some key strengths. High and unpredictable mobility, strong baseline damage that also scales up over the game, and enjoyable aggressive playstyle that truly matches their lore. The list builds itself quite naturally with 3 standout datasheets: 3x6 Noise Marines, 3 Winged Demon Princes, as well as 3 Lord Exultants leading Infractors. Coterie lists are already converging on maximizing these workhorse units, as you need to start trading early in order to build pact points, while also keeping enough back so that you actually have enough pieces for a payoff as you reach the higher pact thresholds. The remaining points are simply there for delivery and secondary play, with the enhancement for standing a prince up being obviously potent. Let's break down my path through the tournament. Michael had never played against EC before and was also quite pessimistic about the outlooks in the game. Unfortunately, I had to realize his fears. I started out slow by growing some pact points while staging. Bottom of 2, Michael had exposed a bit too much of his army without vogging, which I had to pounce on, leading to a quick tap out and a 20-0. We had to celebrate this in the sun with a hot shot from our dear Christian Olofsson. This was a tough repeat from me and Simon's game 1 in the latest Vesla TTS League. Simon is a rising star who's very competent and comfortable with his IK. I somehow had to get my pledges going if I was ever going to kill his Canis Rex in a successful trade. The Winged Prince is really shown here, as they can take a few hits and still keep rolling. Exemplified here as they tag team Simon's home objective at the end of the game. 12-8 to the good guys. Fatigue was kicking in, but I finally got the chance to take revenge on Pontus for 20ing me the last time we played. He played his trusty Ultramarine Gladius once again that I've been suffering from point hikes along the way. My triple threat of Princes, Exultants and Noise Marines are incredibly efficient into power armor. The fact that his damage profiles are so inefficient into my Wing Princess was the final nail in the coffin. It was a quite convincing 14-6. Our multiple Magic Pro Tour champion was not as fortunate and lost 2 games in day 1, as you can tell from this picture. He's a bit tired and disappointed. After a nice dinner, we headed home, and wise from experience, I figured out that windows could be opened at this point, and we finally got some refreshing sleep. This was likely the worst matchup for EC at the moment. There is simply no good solution for a Maleceptor with access to 5+3 no pain on an objective, and the double Norns make it even worse as long as they don't feed you with unnecessary pact points early. Jacob is also very experienced with his trusty needs. My only hope was to leverage weaknesses in his positioning. Jacob deployed his new lictors quite aggressively, which looked to me like pact point I was willing to go for, as I went first and was facing a lot of pressure to get the game going. He unfortunately overwatched all my 5 Infractors to death with his Exocrine, but luckily my lonely Exultant managed to kill the Neurolector with help from the reroll to hit strat, earning that crucial first pact point. Jacob pushed up quite aggressively in turn 1, including exposing all 3 Maleceptors by putting them on objectives. This was the opportunity I had longed for, and I committed my entire army into the Maleceptors, killing 2 and putting 1 on 2 wounds, while also managing to tag 1 Exocrine in combat and nip 10 Gargoyles on the way, earning me 3 more pact points. Jacob had to fall back his final Maleceptor and only having 3 Exocrines and 2 Norns to try to dig him out. This was not quite enough, so I could fall back from the respective objectives his Norns had chosen and commit to killing in the rest of his army, while also reaching the amazing 7 pact point threshold. The Norns were unable to leave the objectives to achieve more, and I could commit to killing 1 of them, leaving Jacob with a single model on the table for the remainder of the game. I had to pay for the victory somehow, and that was in the form of mortal wounds from the table edge. My fellow teammate from WTC 2024 on his trusty War Dog spam. This is also a tricky matchup due to the high durability of the dogs, requiring a lot of commitment before the pledges can get rolling. Luckily, I went second, but I had to gamble for a pledge of 1. Sebastian drew area denial and a dud bring it down, which forced him to expose a knight on the middle objective. I committed an Exultant and friends to killing that knight and getting that, you're used to it by now, essential first pact point turn 1. This gave him an 8 on primary while I was staging quite defensively, settling for a 3 on primary, knowing I can catch up later in the game. Sebastian decided to push quite aggressively, exposing 3 knights on my expansion objective and 1 in the middle for a big secure no man's land score. This was my cue to mop up 5 more knights in one go. In a crucial round 3 at 4 pact points, I pledged 2 in order for 7 points to be within reach with the strat should I overkill. Sebastian, realizing the writing on the wall, very intelligently decided to instead back away and de-escalate the game. That crucial decision, making me miss out on my pledge and having a somewhat underwhelming secondary draw from that point, led to a 70-65 draw. As there was no 5-0 player left in the tournament, it was still enough for the win. EC Coterie is probably the most fun and challenging army I've played. The pledges add additional depth and the speed and flexibility allows for a lot of skill expression. Be prepared to go for trades that are point losses in the early game in order to start getting pact points. Practice restraint with the rest of the army. Getting to activate with 40-60% at 5+ pact points is a hell of a drug. Master this balance and Slanesh will reward you greatly. I would also like to shout out to my opponents. Level of competition was top notch. The win wasn't easy, but that made it even sweeter. So, that's how I took Emperor's Children to a first week tournament victory. I will try to answer any questions in the comment. Thank you for watching, remember to subscribe, and always wear your Giga Chad necklace with pride.